What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to BRG Winter Wonderland. We have got a mountain of stuff we've got to get done today, but first things first is I've got to go get some gas or diesel for some heat in the shop. As you can see, it is plumb frozen over down there. So I'm going to ice skate down this hill, which is nothing but ice, and I'm going to wipe out, I guarantee it, here in just a second. But anyway, let's go get our diesel jugs, make our way uptown, get some diesel. I got to swing by the old post office so I can get started on our passports for our Canada trip, which is going to be coming up here very, very soon. So we're going to take you guys along for the ride for that. But anyway, we got to get crack-a-lackin' on Noisy Cricket's hood, get that actually put on the car so we can get everything primered, masked off, and get ready for the first coat of paint. So anywho, let's get after it. This is Busted Radio Garage. Good grief, that took like 3 minutes to get down that hill. Ice skating, good night. Let's see what we got going on. It's been a few days since I've been down here, but everything looks legit. So let's go over here and get these lights turned on right quick and see what we got going on in here. Alrighty then. Take a quick look at the shop. Like I said, I haven't been down here in a few days. Of course, I still got to do the normal work thing, right? The 9 to 5, if you will. I know that I'm out of fuel, and I'm not going to sit down here and freeze all day. And then we've got to get started on this hood, so we'll do that when we get back. A little bit of ice. In the meantime, I got to get my jugs and go get some diesel. So let's head up and get this right quick. Man, that sun isn't playing around this morning. Beautiful morning out here today in Kentucky. Colder than all get out. We're at about 10 degrees this morning, and yeah, I got to get fuel. Anyway, I hope you guys are going to start out your weekend amazing. I hope you get out and have some fun with the family, or just fun hanging out in your shops, or whatever it is you guys like to do. I mean, if you knit socks, I hope you have a fun knitting your socks. But anyway, we are going to have an absolute ball in the shop. We've got a lot planned for the weekend. It is my anniversary weekend. 33 years, you all. Kathy has put up with me 33 years tomorrow. So we're going to take Kathy out. We're going to do some fun stuff. I believe she's got us some escape rooms planned, which I think are going to be an absolute blast. We've never done one of those, neither her or I. So we're going to get in there and test our smarts. You know, I hope they've got like a 3rd grade level, you know, something where we can use the Crayolas and, you know, the eatable glue and stuff like that. But anyway, I hope you all have a great weekend. This is going to be an absolute blast. So let's get these tanks filled up, get back to the shop, and let's get to work. Woo-wee. All right, guys, finally, we got some heat in the shop. I had to shut it off for a minute so, you know, we could do the camera work, because, you know, if I didn't, all you'd hear is... But anyway, so it's going to be kind of a boring project today, maybe for some of you, but what I want to do is get this hood straightened out. You know, we've got some rust here, you know, just with the paint peeling. We've got all these gnarly little sharp edges. You know, we still got to deburr the hood. I mean, that'll snag up on you in a hurry right there. We've got to get this flip back over and trim all of this, you know, the support underneath back, probably a 1/2 inch all the way around, so we can get some nice molding, you know, all the way around this hole. Kind of clean it up nice, and it kind of protects anybody from getting cut, right? So, I guess what I'm going to do first is I've got this lid out. You seen it just a second ago. It's just an old, you know, dip can lid, if I'm being 100% honest. We'll figure out how much of this edge we want to take off, and then we'll mark it with the old generic dollar store Sharpie here. And we'll do that on every edge. Well, that's gone forever. So we'll do it on every edge all the way around, and then we'll take the flat disc and a grinder and get this all nice and dolphin smooth. R.I.P. Abraham. And then we'll flip it over. We'll cut off any supports that we don't need around this general area. And then ultimately, I'm just going to go in here with a wire wheel and knock this crap smooth. You know, maybe run a little bit of sandpaper over it. Again, it's a burnout car. We'll get it as pretty as humanly possible. And the rest of it, heck with it. So, let's get to work. I'm going to get you set up on a camera. And I'm going to go ahead and start working these edges first. Then we'll work on the supports. We'll flip the hood over. And then we'll kind of back and forth, getting this smoothed out. And I'm down here by myself as usual. So I'm going to have to figure out how to get that hood on here without tearing up my blower. Or I'll have to wait for one of the girls to get in a little bit later today. Either way, it's going to get on there. We're going to get it lined up. We'll kind of tape it in place. Or, you know, anchor it in place. We'll maybe run a drywall screw in or something. But get it to where it'll sit there. We'll get the body roughed up, cleaned up, fix any minor, like, BS repairs. Like, kind of like right here, you know, and these little nicks here and there. Straighten them out, smooth them, throw a little bit of high build primer on them, wet sand it down, and we're going to call this a day, and we're going to get to shooting some magenta. All right, guys, let's figure out what we want to do here. Do we want to go like, you know, all out and add a bag of chips, or do we just want to take off what we need? I'd like to have a little more room than not, because I really do not want to scratch up my headers. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to err on the side of caution, and I'm just going to whack, you know, pretty decent sized chunk off here. All right, so this is what I was talking about. We're just going to, you know, take off the sharp edges on these four corners here, and then we're going to come in here and just clean this up really nice. You know, like here, you know, we're going to straighten this edge out, you know, straighten this corner out here. We just need to clean it up a tickle. And then the biggest part is just getting the supports worked back a little bit from the edge so we can get a nice piece of trim on here. All right, we're going to take the jigsaw and give this a whirl. So let's see if we can trim this up. We'll start with this one. Get some! Yeah, I think that caused more damage than it did help the situation. So we're going to have to get, you know, a hammer and get that straightened back out. Not going to do that again. Yeah, we're going to use a grinder from now on, I think. Much more better. We'll get the rest of that with the grinder. So I'm going to put this jigsaw away because that was absolutely useless. Alright guys, as you've seen, I got the hood flipped over here. So now what I'm going to do, or what I'm actually doing, is marking off roughly about a 1/2 inch on this inside edge of the bottom part of the hood on what I want to take off. So again, we can put an edge molding all the way around this. For one, it's two parts actually. For one, so it looks a little bit better, and two, it's just going to protect the edge in case we come up with a burr later on down the line. And the girls and I, either one, are putting this back on the car, and I do not want anybody to get cut. So I may be able to just go ahead and trim this off with snips rather than a death wheel, because, I mean, I can move this around quite a bit. So I may just be able to trim that off. I don't want to trim a ton of it off because I still want to keep the support, right, for the rest of the hood. So we're just going to go ahead and get some of this lopped off here and be done with it. Now on this edge here, I'm not going to worry about separating, you know, the upper from the lower part of the hood on this area here. We're just going to leave it, but we'll clean it up. So I think that's going to be good. So let's get some snips and see if we can cut this off by hand. If not, we'll get the old wheel of death out and cut them off. All right, let's see what we can do here now. Oh, yeah. That's money, dude. May take a little more time, but it's a little bit safer doing it this way. Then you can make a little more precise cuts. All right, so let me go ahead and get all this cut off around here, and I'll check back with you in a minute. Then we'll take like an old worn-out flat disc like I've got on my grinder there. We'll smooth this out, you know, deburr everything. We'll flip the hood back over. Oh, and before I do that, some of you are probably going to wonder, am I going to paint this underneath? Yes. Once we get the entire car painted, dialed in, clear coated and all that, I'll remask off these edges and just shoot this to semi-gloss black, DE 1635, like I've done, you know, all of the engine bay and the entire underneath of the car. Some of you might be wondering why I wouldn't paint this first. Well, for me, this is going to be sitting on here while this car is getting all these coats, and this is going to be all open, right? So paint's going to get trapped between the plastic and the underneath part of this hood, so it's just going to overspray the dickens under here. So for me, it'd be just a little bit easier to just wait till we're done, mask the nice painted side, and then just come in here real quick and paint this black. So anywho, let's go ahead and let me get this trimmed real quick. All right, cool. We're getting there. So we're just following this line on around. Just have to be careful because you don't want to get into this. There's no coming back. This is actually the top side of the hood. I'm working on this corner right now, so I need to straighten this up just a tickle more. Then I'm going to work my way on around here. So we're making some really good progress, so let's keep working. All right, cool, guys. Check this out. So we went ahead and we got this hole all straightened out. So we rounded off all our edges on the corners here where the stacks are going to go. I like that a lot better than just the square cut. I think it turned out amazing. So we got the edges all cleaned up all the way around. I've got one spot here where I got a little crazy with the whiz wheel when I first cut this hole out, which is fine. So hopefully our new molding that'll go around here will cover that. If not, we're going to send it. And then underneath here, oh, good night. We got this all trimmed up all the way around about a ½ inch around our edge. So we got a spot for our molding. And then again, we'll get all this cleaned up and painted when we get done with the car. But for now, it's just going to have to ride like it is. Get this back down here. And then I went ahead and took my whiz wheel, or my, for crying out loud, my old flat disc, and I cleaned up the rust on the hood here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and sand down the rest of the hood, do a light sanding on it, get, I don't know if you can hear that, some of this rough feel off of this hood. And then we'll go ahead and get its first coat of high build primer on here, wet sand it, see what it looks like, put one more coat of high build primer on it, and then we're going to call it a day and get it set up here on the car and just let it chill out under the heater and dry. And in the meantime, we're going to work on the rest of the car. We'll just go ahead and, you know, button up any last little details on here. We're going to have to wash the car in here, so we're going to have to wash it by hand. You know, with just some soap, water, dry it off, take the air hose, leaf blower, we got to do to get it dry. Then we'll put our first coat of high build primer on it, get all that done. Wet sand it, let it dry. Second coat of high build primer, same thing. And then we'll let that dry for a couple days. Let it set up real nice. And in the meantime, we'll work on Monzilla. And then we'll finally be able to start taping this off and getting some color on this car. And we're going to take our time. We're going to make it look really cool. Once that sets up, we'll get our decals put on, button up the last of the little bull crap on here, you know, get like the electronics finished, panty and stuff, get a fire extinguisher, finish the wiring, you know, a couple days worth of, you know, panty stuff, and then Noisy Cricket will be done. We'll throw his new wheels on, show everybody that, and then he's going to go in the corner and chill out until it gets warm enough where we can do some test burnouts. And we're just going to keep rocking on. And then Monzilla is going to follow suit. And then finally, Homer 3.0. And we should, by the grace of goodness, be done by April, I think, 2nd, when we got to roll out of here and head to Florida. So let's get back to work. right, guys, there we go. So I got the entire hood sanded down. I used 80 grit and just went over this, every little bit of it. Got it, you know, dolphin smooth. I mean, this isn't, you know, like chip foos type work, but we got all these areas smoothed down. I probably shouldn't be touching this a whole bunch with my hand, but anyway, as you can see what we got going on. So I've got two different kinds of primer for this hood. I've got primer with a rust preventer in it. And then I've got my high build primer, which will go on second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a light coat over all this bare metal here. You know, this side and that side. We'll let that dry. We'll kind of do like a light sanding on it just to bring it down somewhat level. And then we'll go over the whole hood with a high build primer. So, and then I've got like these little boards here to just kind of cover up my lift just a tickle. So let's get to painting this up right quick. Alrighty then, let's get after it. Remember, just a light little coat. About like that right there. We don't want to just goop it on there. We just want to put a little bit of a covering over top of this rust. Well, not rust, it's bare metal. It's got some rust in it. But I'm not going to go all out on grinding into that jazz. Just want to cover the bare metal. And then we'll move on to high build primer. All right, guys, this first coat of rust protectant primer is dry to the touch. So now we're going to go ahead and put on this Duplicolor filler and sandable primer. And we're going to go ahead and put the first coat of this on the entire hood. We'll let it dry for a little bit, and then we'll go by and put a second coat. And then we'll kind of look and see what the hood looks like from there. If we need to, we'll do a light sanding and put a third coat, which I seriously doubt we'll need. And then in the meantime, we're going to get to start tackling this body. We're going to go ahead and sand up all of this here where we took that trim off the other day. And then we'll kind of see where we're at. That hood by then should be dry enough to set on the car. And then we can go ahead and start dialing in the rest of this body. And then we, in theory, should be able to start laying down some color. Because I know I'm excited for that. I know there's a bunch of you waiting to see that. And I cannot wait to see what that pink's going to look like. Or magenta. I'm sorry. It's magenta first. And then multiple other shades of pink. But anyway, let's get to laying this primer, shall we? All right, guys, forgive the heater, but I got to keep that on for right now. But here we go. So this has got one light coat and one heavy coat of that Duracolor Filmer primer, and man, this thing is turning out sick. So we're going to give this coat plenty of time to dry. We'll look it over again. If it needs it, we'll just do a real super light sanding on it, kind of even everything back out. We'll put the third and final coat of primer, and we're going to call that a day. But that turned out sick compared to a few hours ago when we started working on this thing. So in the meantime, let's get the sander, and we're going to go ahead and work on both sides of this door, get this dialed in, and then we'll kind of see where we go from there. All right, guys, let's get to cleaning this up right quick. Woo! All right, guys, check us out. I was long form filming and doing a live at the exact same time. And if you were watching it, sorry, I had to like abruptly end that. Service was just here in the shop. But anyway, let me show you this real quick. So we have both sides of the car sanded right here, you know, at these body lines. You know, from the top to the bottom, got that thing all dolphin smooth. Went ahead and went around our marker lights. Got both sides of that completely done and ready for primer. So we'll get some primer shot on that here in just a little bit. But I want to go ahead and get the rest of this car scuffed. Sand down some little areas like I showed you earlier. Like little crap like this that's peeling up. You know, here. Need to get these bumper fillers done. I mean, they're cracking something awful. So probably going to get a fine wire wheel knock those at, you know, right around here, around the taillights, get that knocked out. Got to get this pinstripe off here, so we'll take a fine wire wheel to that. We'll scuff the whole car, and then we'll, you know, throw 2 turbo heaters on this thing just all the way up on 11. Get this car good and hot, and we'll get it under primer. Here's our hood from earlier. It is sitting here styling and profiling. So since one of the girls get home to help me with that so I don't tear up any of this, we'll set that hood on there. So anyway, let's get to scuffing this car. Get a little wire wheel out. We'll get rid of some of this crap here. And then we're going to, you know, scuff it the old-fashioned way, you know, with a block and some 80 grit and just have at it. This is going to be a long episode, so I hope you've got your big old glass of something to drink and some popcorn, maybe a puppy on your lap petting on it, because we're going to be here a while. So let's get back to work. Boom. All right, guys, check this out. All right, so there we go. We got the hood all installed. I think we're going to have to do a little more trimming on the back sides of these right here, this side and the passenger side, which is fine. That's not that big a deal. We'll just follow our curvature another 1/2 inch. Take it up here and make it match, kind of like the front. But man, it turned out nice. Look how straight that hood is now. It's ridiculous. Looks amazing. I love it. So now what we're going to have to do is I got to run up to Maysville. Essentially, I got to go 45 minutes away, and I got to get some more sandpaper. And then I'm going to see if I can get primer in a turbo can. You know what I mean? Where I can do that big 2-foot fan all at once and just whoosh down the whole side of the car. That, and I think it'd be pretty cool for everybody to watch, right? And then so we're going to run up and get that. So there's going to be a little bit of a break here. It'll probably be dark by the time I get back. We'll finish sanding the car, you know, scuffing it up, make any like last little final like touch-ups on, you know, those little spots or whatever. And then we'll get down here sometime Sunday, because as you guys know, tomorrow's my anniversary, and we'll see if we can get this all under primer. And then we'll let it sit a couple days next week and cure up. In the meantime, we'll get back on Monzilla, and then we'll jump back over to this, and we'll start laying tape, because there's going to be a mountain of it to lay. All right, guys, the girls and I stopped up here at our local Rural King. So we're going to go in here and get some sandpaper, some spray paint, some primer, all kinds of jazz. And I'm going to take you guys in here. Might as well have been filming all day, right? Let's go here and see what we can find. Paint. All right, let's see what we got. I know I need some light pink paint, so we're going to get some of that while we're here. So we'll snag up on, see, metal, plastic, and more. Do we want gloss or semi? We're going to put clear on it anyway, so we might as well just get some semi-gloss. I got to get 2 of those. All right, let's see what we got for primer. I was hoping they'd have it in the turbo can. Nope. That's fine. Let's see, sandpaper. All right, we got a mountain of stuff to choose from. I think I'm going to get a couple of these 100 grit packs, a scuffing pad, and I got a mountain of paint up here. All right, guys, I think we're done. So we got us some 400 grit and some 100 grit sandpaper. Obviously, this is going to be to finish, you know, any repairs on the car. We're going to wet sand with 400 grit. You know, after we get our primer put on, I just stay there. And then we got some more filler primer, some yellow, and some berry pink, because this are some additional colors that I needed, you know, for the paint scheme we're going for Noisy Cricket. So anyway, now I got the task of going to find the girls, and they said they were going clothes shopping. So you know how that goes. All right, guys, another detour. The girls wanted to go to Walmart and go shopping. And as you guys know, I don't do Walmarts and I don't do Kroger's. So I'm going to go over here and we are going to go wash the truck. And it looks like I decided to pick a day that everybody and their brother decided to do the very same thing, which is cool. I get it. They want to get the salt off the truck or their car or their motorcycle, you know, bicycle, whatever they rode in here. So we're going to knock this out real quick. And hopefully the girls are done at Walmart. Kathy said she's got to stop at Kroger. I don't do that either. So it looks like I'll be waiting in the parking lot. But in the meantime, we're going to wash this truck. Heck yeah. Here, I'll do the SpongeBob thing. 30 minutes later, we are lined up to get in the car wash. Finally. These dudes do a killer job here too. They're always awesome. It's like a casino in here. All the bells and whistles. The memberships for this place aren't bad either. I think I pay like $40 a month. as much as I want to use it, as often as I want to use it. I can't complain. Heck yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Here we go. Shoot, yeah. Get down. Boy, just beating the glass out of me today. Hey, I pushed my mirror in the store. Ooh. Had my windshield wipers on. Woo, about lost them things good. Night of living. I gotta quit playing around in here. Get down. All right, let's get out of here and let's go see if we can get the girls, shall we? And I think we're gonna go get something to eat and feed the old face a little bit. And then off to the grocery store. That's gonna cost a fortune. All right, cool guys. We made it back from Maysville. For crying out loud. We were up there for 3 days, it seems like. So anyway, we picked up some extra spray paint colors we're gonna need, plus some additional primer and some sandpaper and some other jazz, brake clean, you know, all kinds of other good stuff. But anywho, so as you can see, it's starting to sun down out there on us a little bit. So we got the hood on, as you've seen. It is all dialed in and ready to go. We're going to do one more little light sanding on it. That should be good to go. And then for the next probably 5 or 6 hours, I am going to sand on the rest of the car. I'm just going to go through, scuff it up, make any final little repairs, use some high fill or primer wherever I need it in some of these other little areas. And then we're also kicking around the idea of adding the spoiler to back a Noisy Cricket. I could, if I really wanted to go out, put the spoiler on, put the window louvers on these little side windows here. I couldn't put a scoop on because there's nowhere to put it. I mean, I could even go as far as putting flares on. Now, the flares would be a huge waste of money because those are just going to get destroyed from the tires coming off. So I think we'll run it flareless, but I'm probably going to go ahead and add this spoiler. I think it looks pretty cool. We could run Noisy Cricket, or maybe put good night or let's go or something across the back of the spoiler. Put in the comments, seriously, what you think we ought to put on the back of that. Should we put like good night, or should we put like let's go, or should we put like BRG's terrible and you don't know how to do a burnout? You know, something across the back of there. You know, and then may just go ahead and put the louvers on the side glass. That would look pretty sick. But anywho, yeah. Well, you know what? I probably can't do that because we're going to have decals there. So, yeah, the louvers on the windows are going to be at... Can't do that. But anyhow, I'm just rambling on at this point. I got to get to sanding, and I've put enough sanding content in it. It is chilly here. I put enough sanding content in this video. I'm not going to sit there and sit you on a time lapse for, you know, 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever it's going to take. But anyway, it's going to be a solid probably 20, 22-hour day in the shop today. But anyway, you know, I got to get to crack-a-lacking. So that's going to be the end of this video, guys. So tune in tomorrow. Well, wait a minute. Tomorrow's my anniversary. I'll try to have you a video, you know, even if something small in there for you to watch. Sunday is going to be another big video because we are going to be down here, hopefully, doing final wet sand and laying down some color. And I cannot freaking wait to get started on this. But anyway, you guys know I appreciate the heck out of you. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. BRG